It was a regular day, or at least it seemed that way. But for me, it marked the beginning of a journey that would forever change my life. I could feel the weight of the world on my shoulders, and as I stood there, I realized that this was the moment everything would shift. The whispers, the doubts, the judgment. Everything was about to be put to the test. I remember when I found out I was pregnant. It was supposed to be a joyful moment, but instead it felt like a sentence. My husband looked at me, disappointment written all over his face. "This isn't the right time," he said. "We can't do this." His words echoed in my mind as the days passed, and I could feel myself sinking into a pit of uncertainty. But that wasn't the worst of it. When I shared the news with my family, expecting support, they too let me down. "You won't be able to handle this. You'll be a terrible mother." Their words stung deeper than anything I could have imagined. It wasn't just the rejection, it was the betrayal. These were the people I had counted on, and they were turning their backs on me when I needed them the most. The weight of their judgment crushed me, but I wasn't going to let it define me. I couldn't. I knew I had to rise above their doubts. I didn't have a choice. I had a life inside of me now, and I had to fight for it. But that fight, it wasn't going to be easy.
Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers, and your subscription is essential for us to get there. Don't miss the chance to be part of this journey and help us bring more amazing content like this. Thank you.
Days turned into weeks, and every moment felt like I was walking through a storm. But I refused to let the storm drown me. I found strength in places I never knew I had. I worked harder than ever before, pushing through every barrier, every insult. I became a mother before I even knew what it meant to be one. And it wasn't just about bringing a child into the world. It was about proving to everyone, but mostly to myself, that I could do this, that I could succeed despite the odds stacked against me. Then came the day that changed everything. The day I was given a second chance, a way out, a lifeline I wasn't expecting. An unexpected turn of events brought me a windfall. A large settlement came my way, $100 million. It was surreal. I could feel the weight of it, but it wasn't just the money. It was the power, the freedom, the opportunity to prove that I could not only survive, but thrive. I kept it a secret. My family had already written me off, and I didn't need their judgment anymore. I had everything I needed to create a life that was mine and mine alone. I wasn't going to rely on anyone else's approval. I was going to build a future, a life, a home for my child that no one could take away from us. But even with all that money, something inside me still felt unsettled. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the house I was going to buy or the things I could finally afford. It was about proving to the people who doubted me, to the ones who left me when I needed them most, that I could do this. I remembered the day I bought our house. It was a beautiful place, more than I could have ever dreamed of. But it wasn't just the house that mattered. It was the symbol of everything I had achieved. It was mine. It was for my son. And in that moment, I realized that it wasn't just a house. It was my redemption. But life, as it always does, had other plans. They came. My family, the very people who had abandoned me, showed up at my door. And they came with demands. They came asking for the very thing they thought they had the right to take. They wanted my son. They wanted custody. They believed they had some sort of claim on him, as if I wasn't enough, as if they were the better option. The audacity, the nerve. But I wasn't going to let them win. Not this time. I knew what I had to do. I had prepared for this moment. I had been recording everything. Every conversation, every interaction, everything that had happened up to that point. They didn't know. They thought I was weak. They thought I was desperate. But I wasn't. I was stronger than they realized. And this time, I was in control. They knocked on the door, demanding answers, expecting me to crumble under their pressure. But I stood tall, and in that moment, I knew the truth. They had underestimated me. They had no idea what was coming next.
The tension in the air was palpable as they stood there, demanding what they thought was rightfully theirs. My mother, her voice trembling with entitlement, spoke first. "You can't do this alone. He needs us. You need help. You can't give him the life he deserves. Not on your own. We can give him that. We can take care of him." I looked at them. Each face, once so familiar, now felt like a distant memory. How quickly they had turned their backs on me. How easily they had walked away when I needed them the most. The irony was almost too much to bear. They were here now, pretending to care, pretending like they could offer something I hadn't already fought for. The bitterness in my throat was sharp, but I swallowed it down. I wasn't going to let them see me falter. I had learned the hard way that the world doesn't hand you anything. You have to take it. You have to fight for it. And sometimes, you have to do it alone. I invited them inside, though every part of me wanted to slam the door and never look back. But I needed to stay calm. I needed to show them that this wasn't about anger. It was about something bigger. This was about proving that I was the one who was worthy of my son, that I, and only I, could give him the life he deserved. The house was quiet, save for the sound of their voices, filled with a mixture of frustration and entitlement. They were shocked by how far I had come. They couldn't believe the life I had built for myself. It was clear they expected me to be helpless, struggling to make ends meet, so they could swoop in and play the heroes. But instead, they were faced with the reality that I was standing tall, owning my life and the decisions I had made. "You think you can do this better than us?" my father asked, a tone of disbelief in his voice. I didn't answer him right away. Instead, I walked over to the table, where the photos of my son and I had been framed in simple, yet meaningful ways. His laughter echoed through my mind, and I felt a surge of love and protectiveness rise within me. "I think I'm doing just fine," I said, my voice steady, unwavering. "In fact, I'm doing better than I ever imagined. I've worked hard for everything I have, and I don't need your approval, your help, or your permission to raise my child." The room fell silent. They were stunned. I could see it in their eyes. This wasn't the broken woman they thought they'd left behind. This was someone stronger, someone they didn't recognize. They had hoped for a return of the old me, the one who doubted herself, the one who would crumble under pressure. But that woman was gone. "Don't you think he deserves more?" my mother asked, trying to regain control of the conversation. I couldn't help but smile. It wasn't a smile of mockery, but one of quiet confidence. "What he deserves," I said, "is a mother who believes in herself, a mother who fights for him every single day. And that's exactly what I am. I'll give him everything he needs and then some. I'll give him the love, the stability, and the strength to grow up knowing he is worth everything to me. And that's something you'll never take from me." My words hung in the air, a powerful reminder of the truth they had been unwilling to see. I had become the person I needed to be. I wasn't defined by their rejection or their doubts. I had stepped into a power that came from within me, a power that no one could take away from me. They stood there, speechless. It was as if the truth of my words had hit them like a tidal wave, washing over their carefully constructed illusions. They hadn't expected me to fight back. They hadn't expected me to stand up for myself and for my son. I could see their minds racing, the realization dawning on them that they had misjudged me. They thought I was weak, that I would cave under their pressure, that I would beg them for help. But they had no idea who I had become. "I'm not the same person you left behind," I continued, my voice unwavering. "I'm someone who knows her worth, and you're not taking him from me." The silence stretched on, thick with the weight of everything left unsaid. I could feel the tension crackling in the room. It was almost too much to bear,
but I stood my ground. I wasn't going to let them win. Not after everything I'd been through, not after all the tears, the sacrifices, the sleepless nights. I wasn't going to let them tear me down again. Finally, my mother spoke, her voice softer now, but still laced with a hint of defiance. "You're making a mistake," she said. I shook my head. A quiet laugh escaped my lips. No, the only mistake I ever made was doubting myself. I'm not making that mistake again. And with that, I knew it was over. I had won, not because I had the money, the house, or the power, but because I had something far more valuable than any of that. I had my peace, my strength, and my unwavering belief in myself. They couldn't take that from me. For a moment, they just stood there, as if frozen in time. The words I had spoken hung heavy in the room, like a thunderstorm that hadn't yet released its fury. The air felt thick with a tension that was palpable, almost suffocating. But I refused to back down. I wasn't the scared woman they had abandoned anymore. I wasn't the girl who doubted her every move. My father shifted uncomfortably, his gaze now avoiding mine. For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. It wasn't the usual disdain I'd grown accustomed to. It was a realization that maybe, just maybe, they had underestimated me, that they had gotten it all wrong. But I wasn't about to let them off the hook just yet. "Do you really think you can just walk back into my life after everything you said, after everything you did?" I asked, my voice cold, cutting through the tension like a blade. "You turned your back on me when I needed you the most, and now you want to waltz in and take my son? No, that's not how this works." My mother's eyes welled up with tears, but they weren't the tears of someone who had been wrong. No, these tears were about something deeper, perhaps regret. A realization that they had missed something precious in their rush to judge and dismiss me. But it was too late for regrets, too late for apologies that would never come. I had learned to build a life without them, a life where I was in control, where I called the shots, a life where I could look at my son and know that, no matter what, I had given him everything. And that was something they would never take away from me. I've worked hard for everything I have, and now I'm in control. Not you, not anyone. I don't need your approval, your validation, or your permission to raise my child. I've been doing it all on my own, and I'll keep doing it on my own because that's what's best for him. My mother opened her mouth to speak, but the words failed her. She closed it again, her face a mixture of frustration and something else, maybe fear. Maybe shame. But I wasn't done yet. I had one last thing to say, one last truth to make them understand. You think you can just swoop in and be the saviors, but the truth is no one has saved me. I saved myself. I'm the one who fought through the sleepless nights, the doubts, the loneliness. I'm the one who refused to give up. And that's what I'm teaching my son. That's the legacy I'm giving him. Not some fairy tale where everything is handed to him, but a real, raw truth about strength, resilience, and perseverance. There was a long pause, and for a moment, I thought they might finally understand. But then my father spoke, his voice low and filled with the kind of bitterness I had expected from the start. "You're making a mistake, you know. You think you're strong, but what happens when it all falls apart? What happens when you can't do it anymore? Who's going to be there for you then?" I could feel the anger rising in me again, but I didn't let it show. I had come too far to let their words get under my skin now. I had already survived the worst of it. I had already fought my hardest battle, and I had won. "No one ever promised me it would be easy," I said, my voice steady. But I didn't need anyone to tell me that. I figured it out on my own, and I'll keep figuring it out. Because that's what being a mother is. It's not about waiting for someone else to come in and fix things. It's about stepping up and doing what needs to be done, no matter how hard it gets. They stood there speechless, as if processing the magnitude of what I was saying. I could feel the shift in the atmosphere. They hadn't expected me to be this strong, this determined. But I wasn't just strong for myself. I was strong for my son. I was strong for the future I was building for him. And I wasn't going to let anyone, not even my own family, take that away from us. Finally, my mother spoke again, her voice soft, almost resigned. We just wanted what was best for him. I shook my head, my heart heavy with the weight of her words. What's best for him is having a mother who believes in herself, who doesn't rely on anyone else to define her worth. What's best for him is knowing that, no matter what, I will always fight for him. There was no more shouting, no more demands. The conversation had come to its natural end. My family had come expecting to take something from me, but in the end, they were the ones who walked away empty-handed. As they left, I stood in the doorway, watching them go. There was no triumph in my heart, no sense of victory, just a quiet, steady knowing that I had done what I set out to do. I had proven to myself and to them that I was enough, that I had always been enough. And as I closed the door behind them, I turned to my son, who was asleep in his crib, his little face peaceful and innocent. I kissed his forehead gently, whispering, "We're going to be okay. We've got this." And with that, I knew my journey had just begun. I was no longer defined by the doubts and judgments of others. I was defined by the love I had for my son, the strength I had found within myself, and the life I was building for the two of us. We were going to be okay.
If you liked the video, leave a comment, share it, and subscribe to the channel. This helps us a lot to grow and bring more content like this. Don't miss the chance to be part of this journey. I'm counting on you.